I wasn't expecting company, but if you stay out of the shrubs and flower beds, you can stay.
All right, gentlemen, thank you for coming. I got an urgent communication from some of the other factions in our backyard galaxy. So I want to present that to you today. It represents a significant mission request. They provided me a list of all of the factions and leadership of them, showing that they were all of one mind in this, but of course no names were given. I certainly can't do this on my own. Two Old Guys faction probably can't do this on our own. And so we wanted to make sure that we talked with everybody here and tried to get from you guys your thoughts, any questions you have, concerns.
The 10 kilometer defensive perimeters, when they say don't openly attack Ember, does that mean we're allowed to defend within a 10-kilometer area of where we set down? Or are we supposed to leave them
As
alone?
much as possible, leave them alone, it sounds like, but a 10 kilometer perimeter around each of the outposts, the faction outposts, the alliance faction outposts that we help get reestablished. So we're to find where their safe zone is. We will put up whatever we need to near that safe zone, right at that safe zone. And then for a 10 kilometer perimeter, anytime Ember encroaches on that, then we have their okay to go and take those installations on, but we're not to go out and intentionally go and try to pick a fight with them or shoot down their cargo ships or anything like that. We're just to maintain as much as we can peace with Ember while still defending those areas.
And what about scout drones and other drones that may encroach within, say, a 1,000 meter?
Oh yeah, if they're
area
within that 10 kilometer space, we're authorized to take those down because they want to establish the idea with Ember that, hey, we're defending our space, don't encroach. We're not going to come after you, but don't encroach, because they're trying to kind of show that they have the capability to survive in those areas, but also to serve as a message to Ember. They want Ember to make a misstep and to attack when they shouldn't, but they don't want us to appear as if we kind of instigated that or stirred Ember up in any way. Anybody else? Questions? Whisper? Doc?
Well, what kind of planetary atmosphere
Well, they
are
want
we
us to
dealing with
start
here?
on Earth-like, the Earth-like planet that's in that galaxy, but they would like us to continue on to the other planets that are there because they have interest on all the planets that are in that area. So start in Earth-like, make sure we get that established with some of the outposts that are there that we know about, and then continue on from there. So we're going to deal with just about every atmosphere we can think of. So,
Okay, thank you.
all these factions have come together. They feel like they can't do a sufficient job of doing that without getting the governing authorities all over them. So they're asking us to come in subversively and to do that, help them establish themselves in if you will, contention against Ember's very, restrictive presence there. So, no seats left there, Doc. Sorry. All right.
I just got off the ship.
So this is my thoughts on a way to approach this. So our objective would be on each planet to secure commerce with a 10K perimeter around each known alliance outpost. And those that we know about are those that are going to be given to us on data pads. And to do so remaining as undetectable as possible, so we don't want to leave a footprint. So my idea is this: keep our presence secret as long as possible, so there's no, when we initially land, we're all going to be in different pods, no person-to-person communication until arriving at an alliance outpost. The only outpost-to-outpost communication until we join other team members, we'll only have outpost-to-outpost communications until we join other team members. The Alliance has provided a network on which we can send and receive files in short bursts. So each team member, and this is when we can't do person-to-person communications, we can use this approach. Each team member will be allowed to send one brief message and read other members' messages once every few days, basically at the end of each game session or time period that you're playing. We want to leave no evidence of our presence, so until an Alliance outpost is reached, all of our mining activity should be a last resort, and after exhausting all other options like tearing down pods and things like that, Carry absolutely everything with you. Leave no structures, leave no scraps or waste, including gravel. Has to be deposited at the Alliance outpost so we don't leave any evidence. On arrival, each of us will have a data pad with a location to an Alliance outpost and a weapon and minimal ammunition. We're going to have to devise our own transportation of the GPS coordinates, leaving nothing behind. Once at an Alliance outpost, we can then send an update over the channel provided, and so that will be, of course, for game purposes, that'll be our Discord channel, and that will be only to those who have already arrived at an outpost also. We'll provide services to the outposts that we come to in the form of contracts and sales at stores, and we'll prioritize ores over ingots, over components, then look into the search and repair and the haul contracts, but we really want to help them get their operations fully functional there initially. We can buy or construct vehicles capable of transportation to search for other team members, but mainly we want to try to buy ships and vehicles as much as possible. Some of us will not be at those types of outposts, but as much as possible we want to utilize what's there. Let's see here, securing the 10-kilometer perimeter. One of the technologies they're allowing us to take with us, but again, they want us to be very secretive about it, is the hacking computer. Fortunately, they've designed that so that it's untraceable. Once the systems are hacked, nobody will be aware of us using that computer to accomplish that. Again, trying to do so without force, and if we do have to use force, just to disable the weapon so that we can hack the systems and then put everything back online. We destroy Ember ships and stations only as a last resort, guys. Okay, so we want to avoid contact where possible and just disable as often as possible. We're going to try to meet each other and join up as a team as soon as possible. It's going to be tricky at first, but try to locate all the different members, get us together. Again, once each of us gets to an outpost, we'll be able to communicate better. Once we have joined together on Earthlight, and we've helped the different facilities that are there, we're going to want to buy and repurpose some method of interplanetary travel. We'll want to have enough crowd chambers or beds on there so that we can all be on that ship at one time, and so some of us who sleep longer than others can be brought along to wherever we end up going. Again, we'll go to these different places and set things up on these other planets as well. There's more that I have in here, but we can cover that later. But that's kind of the overall plan. Any thoughts on that?
What's our stake or compensation for assisting?
Well, it's a good question. I think for our purposes, for TOG, we're wanting to establish a stable goodwill. Our intent is to basically get a handle on the Ember situation. However, they have said that we could come up with what we think would be an equitable compensation. So I'm open to whatever you guys think we should ask of them.
I had a...
You want a mansion? A space station?
just a general question, not so much about the compensation. I know we've discussed some of the external threats like Ember. Are there any other hostile entities that we may need to prepare for? Anything on the planet? I recall you had mentioned we are going in equipped with a handheld, either a pistol or a rifle, whatever it may be. So I'm assuming there's some sort of land-based threat as well?
Well, there aren't that we know of. I have not heard of anything land-based. I can look into that more if you'd like.
While there may be Alliance members that are more than welcome to have us in their presence, indigenous life forms may not be.
Yeah, agreed. That's a good point. I can check into that aspect. I didn't even think about asking them about that potential, but we can look into that. Any other questions?
The other question that I had, other than, what kind of compensation would there be, what is the probability of establishing a long-term foothold, perhaps in a remote area?
That may, especially once we get these things established, we may have a heck of a lot more freedom than to establish a long-term presence there. Maybe we could ask if we could have a certain portion of the planetary area or part of their stake, whatever their area is, ask if we could have a certain area of that for ourselves. That's certainly not out of the question, though it hasn't come up yet. Any other questions? What do you guys think about committing to something like this? Is there interest on our side?
Outer Ring Engineering would be willing to lend a hand, at least from my perspective. I'd have to speak with the other members of OR, but I don't foresee that being a problem.
Excellent. Anybody else? Is everybody on board? I think, too, if we identify, we can have up to 10 on this mission at a time. Some people will be sometimes traveling home. Some will be in cryo sleep for extended periods, but at a time we have 10 at the most. So I'm sure there's room to select people who are not part of the Old Guys faction or part of the leadership. So if anybody has thoughts on other people that we need to make sure are aware of this and given the opportunity, let me know, and we'll get that invite, reach out to them with that invite. Whisper, are you on board with us? Or?
Roger that.
Hero, you good?
Oh, I'm all for TOG taking advantage of any opportunities that present itself. If they reached out to us, obviously they see some sort of merit in our work, so we can continue.
Excellent. Doc?
Yep.
All right, and Pops, are you awake over there? Pops?
Huh? What?
Are you on board with this plan?
Get off the grass.
You on board with this plan?
And now, are we looking at long term? Are we ever coming back here? Or
Well, I
what's the
think
plan?
that serves to kind of Sarge's question. I'm sure there's no problem if we want to come back here after we're done there, or if we want to establish ourselves full time in that area. I don't think that there's a decision made yet on what that looks like. But yeah, I think either way.
Well, the only other request that I would have on behalf of OR is if I can get all the available data on a data pad or 2 or 3 that can be passed around.
Yeah, I'll do that.
Just so that I can make sure that all the talking points were covered with my guys.
I'll do that.
That would be the only thing that
I'll do that. I'll make some data pads. But yeah, I'll make sure that that's available for anybody who wants it. So, excellent. I don't know exactly when this mission's going to begin. They're kind of putting that together right now. But as soon as that does happen, I'll make sure I keep you guys updated. And until then, just business as usual here in the Our Backyard Galaxy. So thank you for meeting with us, and we'll get back with you with more details, and we'll set a date for when we all get sent out in our pods.
Sounds good.
Like, subscriber, get off my lawn.